Once Upon a Moonbeam is a Diva Novae production. The creator of the Diva Novae channel claims complete ownership of the dialogue, illustrations, and music that complete the work. Once Upon a Moonbeam. Deep dish. Diva rests his hands on the steering wheel hub while leaning forward in his seat. He's stopped at a set of lights. He's wearing a fitted neon green tank top. His shoulders and arms are toned and appear on the verge of bursting. He usually likes to wear flexible gym shorts in the summer months while he Ubers to keep comfortable. Today, he's wearing a pair of low tread count cotton in salmon. He wears his shorts fairly fitted as well, so they ride up when he sits, exposing his bulging quadriceps. His summer frequent. Recently, he's chosen to have a very close buzz cut and keeps his face shaved clean. He quite enjoys the sight of his own chin. He quickly examines his jawline. He'll quickly get bored and begin to grow a beard before autumn hits. His next rider is down the road. He has Brain Food on Spotify, gently humming to him as the light turns green. The wheels swish with rainwater kicking up as the car sets off. He drives a royal blue Toyota Matrix base model. It's a wonderful car. He loves his little TRDS. There's a badge on the back that reads "That Such Thing." He calls it that because the royal blue mentioned earlier he likes to refer to as TARDIS blue. Like the TARDIS, it goes around causing trouble and evading it on the same turn. Diva finds calling it TRDS funny because there are two separate trims for the car that he uses, TRD, Toyota Racing Development, and S, which stands for basic for some reason, none of which trim the car is. It took him on many exciting adventures, but it is starting to show its age. Two spots chipped off the hood, showing bare steel. When Diva notices anything wrong with his baby, he gasps. To fix this, he decides to reglam it. The hood was completely repainted. Black on two ends, a shiny metal flake blue on the top middle, a shiny metal flake purple on the bottom, and with two streaks dividing the colors. One was neon green and the other the shape of an M. That could also be a pulse or sound wave. He also painted the rims black because why not? It's his first car. He's had it for a couple of years now. Just recently, however, he's been thinking about trading up a class. But he thinks that just to tease it. Diva realizes between the soothing music playlist and the soft crashing of the rainwater outside the car, he will soon fall asleep at the wheel, so he figures a change of ambience is called for. Pop all day on shuffle. That's more like it, he murmurs to himself. The rider waves down the car as it arrives. It's a woman with blonde, tattered hair with a story to tell. What she has to say was interesting as well. She was wearing a tight red dress that clung to every inch of her body. The chest was low cut that exposed a distracting amount of cleavage. The adventures of her night left the dress misaligned. It appeared that in her drunken state she attempted to arrange herself, but it was poorly done. She stood as if she was trying to keep in control of the drink that's inside her, but it wasn't working in the slightest. After becoming an Uber, Diva learned how drunk people look to sober people. No one is ever fooling anyone. She opens the door.
Uber?
She asks. Her voice is shrill and trebly. Diva nods while looking at the rear view.
Okay,
She says to herself. It could be assumed that she was acknowledging that her driver is actually who he says he was. It could also be assumed that this woman was preparing to attempt a flawless landing into the back seat without landing on her face. Diva sits watching the rear view mirror as a figure of blonde hair and red polyester with legs pass through with one small thump and faint creak of the rear suspension to be heard. If there were a panel of judges scoring the attempt out of 5, Diva imagines they would present it as follows: 4, 5, 1. No one likes the third judge. However, it's only Diva in the car. He rates her entry a 1, just to be cynical. In the shadows of the back seat, she adjusts herself and crossed her legs. They were the only part of her that was clearly visible, but only if one looked back, of course. They're on their way downtown. Protocol dictates that a driver is to ask the rider's name for authentication purposes. However, Diva is too tired to care. His hopes are that any drama that could arise would make him alert enough to endure the drive home later. How's your night going? He asked in a low voice. He barely had time to finish the question or blink before she started her drunken rant depicting the horrors of her night. He immediately regretted speaking.
Well, firstly, I don't even want to get into it. Me and a group of friends went out drinking. We all got pretty hammered at the bar. It was all good and fun until I realized that some other girl from work was there, and I hate her so much. After that, we went to get something to eat. That other girl was there as well. Long story short, I'm never speaking to that bitch again. Not after she fucked my boyfriend in the parking lot of the McDonald's.
Diva drowns her out. It's becoming all the same. If he doesn't catch a break soon, he might drive up a destructive path again.
It's not like I like my boyfriend. He's only okay looking.
She paused for a moment. The woman leaned forward, coming out of the shadows to get a look at Diva. Diva glanced at the rear view to note that she was striking. The streetlights passed through the inside of the cabin, casting rays of fine light, defining her showcased features more clearly.
Yeah, you're way fucking hotter than he is. Ugh.
She leaned back. Diva put on a small smirk, but doesn't take the comment too seriously. He feels a quick nudge on the back of his chair. It was a woman's newly crossed leg, prompting the commencement of a new direction in the conversation.
So, what do you do after you're finished Ubering?
The woman says with a slightly stammered pace. Well, tonight I'm going home to bed, Diva responds. Diva recognizes the tone and began to drive a little brisker. One of two things could happen now after he rejects her. She will either remain quiet and perhaps fall asleep for the remainder of the ride, or she will begin to excitedly sob and recant her whole night again. Either one would probably result in expulsion of vomit. If he gets to the destination before the conversation reaches a pivotal point, it could save some aggravation. 2 parts lemon fresh, Mr. Clean, 1 part paint thinner, and 1/4 roll of paper towel. Diva likes to save the trees if possible.
No, I mean like on your day off, do you like to get off?
She continued. The rain swished louder in the slightly advanced pace. At the current moment, they were waiting on a red. Diva stalled before answering by adjusting mirrors and fidgeting with dials that did nothing of importance. I'm not sure what you mean, he murmured.
Never mind,
she said. The woman turned her head to the side and shut her eyes for a drunken nap. Diva internally sighed in relief. The ride became silent until they arrived. We're here, miss, Diva said. The woman shifted slowly in her 6.5-minute nap and quietly grumbled. Before opening the car door, protocol doesn't dictate. The driver should watch the passenger attempt to walk up to the revolving door of her condo wearing 1.5 broken shoes. This driver believes in going above and beyond. As he watched her get into the building, he questioned how she broke her shoe in the car. Was she wearing a shoe when she entered? He thought to himself. She limped tiredly, yet shamelessly to the door. She carried her shoe as if it were a tinfoil swan. She pushed on the door, and it slowly began to rotate open. Her head was bowed down, not because of the weight of the door, but because she was over the night and wanted to give it the least effort possible. It may have been the slowest exchange of centrifugal force on the planet. Diva decided the girl wasn't a total crackpot, so he rates her a 5. One of the deciding factors was that he needed a wake-up call. It's 3:30 a.m. and it's time for bed. Diva parks the car around the first corner on the side of the dead-asleep downtown street. Home is still 30 minutes away, so an extra jolt is needed. Time to put on some post-millennial glam metal. The rain started to crash down. Diva is on the side of the road on Adelaide, scrolling through his playlist. Aha, he says huskily. Mandroid EcoStar's Sacred Fire began to play. That's always an uplifting experience for Diva. As he gets in the groove, he decides to check Uber one more time before calling it a night. It's 3.5x. So he goes online hoping for a humdinger of a ride. Oh, with the strangers and revel in a tapestry. He sings along. There's a bite. What's good about Uber on a Saturday night during party hours is everyone is too drunk or tired to care when you play through your stereo. Falling through the ever-fading floor. He continues to sing along. The rider is close, just around the corner, so Diva takes his time before setting off to give the rider time to get into position, and also just in case they decide they're not up for spending 3.5 times their normal rate. The goddess comes to me, she is answering in this harmony. The sing-along is still strong. The Uber canceled, but now the surge has reached 4.5x, and Diva has started air drumming. Lust for blood and gold, they will never bring you hope. So epic. Another bite. This time the rider is further. Diva gets into gear and sets off. The rider is at University in Richmond. The little Toyota reached the rider as the final riff from the song crashes to a glorious finish. It's a full house, and they're going to Markham. Here's my bow tie. Can you see my bow tie? Is everything visible? That looks a bit more fresh. There are 2 guys and 1 girl. They didn't seem too unbearably drunk. The account holder is a 4.85, so Diva shouldn't be surprised if the ride is uneventful. One of the guys is carrying a pizza. Diva eyes the guy down, attempting to use the force to convince him to sit in the front passenger seat. His hopes are that the inebriated fellow would offer him some nice pepperoni delight for the sole purpose of keeping Diva's mind alert while driving instead of veering off the guardrail while they're on the DVP. The large curly-haired fellow with the pizza sat in the back, to Diva's dismay. "Are we all ready?" Diva asked in a calm and disingenuous manner as he pulls away. It's quiet among the passengers in the car. Diva usually takes times like these to have moments of reflection. Diva is a first-generation Portuguese descent, born to the name Davin. His friends called him Diva once, and he quite enjoyed it, so it stuck. Diva feels the need to keep fit. He is in excellent condition. This is not to attract the advancements of the finer sex, which does advance in abundance. His reluctant attitude towards their advancements makes the wave of crushing Amour even greater. Diva pretends not to feel it. The reason he keeps a healthy figure is because he is never sure when he needs to run. He enjoys traveling and sometimes ends up in places he doesn't belong. Some of these places are sunny. Diva is the type of person who doesn't feel the need to explain himself to anyone. This is most likely why, when he goes back to snowy Toronto from a weekend in Los Angeles or Puerto Rico, people at work or home are confused because he doesn't tell them where he's been. He lives a mostly secret life. Whatever he ends up showing to people is just a fake persona. There are only 2 people who truly know him, his friends Angela and Fred. For the past year, he's been grinding away as an Uber driver. His ambitions of being a personal trainer and owning a gym have changed. He can't stand people who need trainers. Diva has a hard time standing anyone at all. The latter is perhaps the real issue. Nonetheless, the crossroads have left a dull taste, and a remedy seems to be needed. The dullness feels like an aching void in his chest. He has had it all his life. In his younger years, it got him into some trouble. It kept him from pursuing scholarly achievements. All Diva ever wanted to do was explore places he's never been. It didn't occur to him that a formal education could be the best way. It wasn't a lack of aptitude. Diva was bright. However bright a child is, they need guidance to develop properly. For the majority of his childhood, Diva's father was around but not present. His father, Asterio, spent a lot of his time on his small business ventures that always failed. Asterio was a failed con artist in reality. Before the internet was mass spread, it was really difficult to review a business and their practices. A lot of ballsy individuals took on the task to take advantage of the stupid, unlucky, and elderly. As the 90s progressed, so did mass information. A quick internet search could leave your scheme exposed for what it was, so you'd have to get a real job. Asterio, however, pressed on. The time he spent pursuing the unhappiness of others meant that there was little time for his children. Even when the con game was good, there never seemed to be any money around for the necessities like lights and the mortgage. That fell onto his wife, Mariola. She was young and naive, just the prey Asterio would always look for. She took on the task of paying the bills by working 2 jobs. In account of this, there was no support system of refined discipline in the household. Diva never did his homework because there was no one there to tell him so. He skated along his elementary years, but had to straighten up for secondary. The achy void started early on. He used to take long journeys on his own outside the city as soon as he learned to ride a bike. He didn't know it, but he was trying to escape in his own way. He only got a little lost, but was lucky enough to find his way back. His ultimate goal is seeing space. He had a long way to go. Diva is sad. Diva is sad that he was born in a time when humankind is only at the cusp of space travel. It's unfair to him that he will never be able to explore the stars outside of a lousy guided tour when he's 80. As Diva got older, his curiosities took him further and got him into deeper messes, particularly when he started driving. The journeys became more elaborate. He intersected with shady characters who had even shadier enemies. He wasn't so much a victim of circumstance because he chose to pick a fight or stay too long. Most people know when they're overstaying their welcome. Diva likes to stay at the threshold of being unwelcome and being kicked out. You can learn a lot from a person or a group of people when you're in an unwelcome space. You can also learn about people in a welcome space. However, Diva likes to learn what makes people tick. In a welcome space, everyone is too polite. Diva wants to see the truth, so he'll stay past the bell to see what happens. That's the sweet spot. His body becomes hot. He can see, he can smell and feel everything around him. He waits for the manifestation, the gritted teeth of the adversary for the evening. Most of the time, it's to prove a point or save the girl. It's rarely an accident, but it's always fun. He always gets away, at least so far. Evading disastrous situations help the achy void temporarily fill. It is an easy judgment to make that Diva finds the ordinary things in life boring. He feels even if he got a formal education and a job which pays well, it would bind him. He would collapse. The dullness would consume him whole, and he would just be another cog. Recently, however, he has been trying to switch things up. The only thing he could do to add vibrance to his life is drive like a hooligan. It helps to be an Uber driver. Diva feels like he has got away with a lot of traffic violations since becoming one. The city must pardon Ubers like they seem to pardon taxicabs. They just reached the DVP on-ramp. The aroma of the supreme slice knocked Diva out of his trance-like focus. Perhaps the metachlorian-enriched slice of pepperoni, mushrooms, peppers, and light cheese could be what spreads flavor across the dullness. Through the rear-view mirror, he can see the portly fellow with the pizza box. Now it's the time to strike. So how's your evening? Diva asked, in an ostensibly genuine manner. The girl answers. Although she is quite pretty and on any other day would be a delight to listen to, she is being drowned out by the urge to manipulate this individual into giving away a precious slice of Hawaiian perfection. Diva waits for the conversation among the passengers to spark, as they often do. Once he starts with that opening line, they have to speak about the pizza eventually. All the stories are the same.
Oh, yeah, we all worked together and decided to go out tonight to watch the game. We went to the bar near work. Afterward, some of us were still up for some bar hopping. After that, we 3 were the last left standing and decided to get pizza.
One of them says, pizza is the only variance in all the separate occasions this situation has happened. It may have been shawarma or wings or fries, the list can go on. The core story never changes. There's always one way too sick to eat, but hadn't realized it when they ordered, one who knows the story better than everyone else, and the other who feels guilty in throwing away perfectly good food. Wow, that sounds like an interesting night, Diva says, deceivingly enthused. Yeah, but I feel bad throwing away all this food, says the frugal gentleman with the pizza box. What flavor is it? Diva asked. Meat lovers, he replies. The moment of triumph has arrived and yet has fallen short of this Jedi's tastes. To Diva there is nothing duller than meat on meat on meat. Oh, Diva solemnly replies back. Do you want a slice? Asks the portly and frugal man. Nah, I'm good, dude. Diva replies softly. Even though the pizza was basically his for the taking, Diva must live up to his namesake. Anyhow, he still counts it as a win because they didn't crash and burn on the side of the road, which was ultimately the goal. Diva dropped off all the riders safely and is finally ready for some sleep. A text notification pops up on Diva's phone.
Are you awake?
It reads. Diva sets the car in park and responds. Yeah, I'm just about ready to crash, though.
I'm so bored. I can't sleep either.
Same. I need to get out of the city.
Me too. I don't have my passport though.
I'll talk to Fred in the morning. Maybe he's down for a road trip soon.
Where to?
I don't know. We'll think of something stupid. Are you up for it?
LOL. Okay, sure. Let me know.
Alright, cool. Diva rests a bit on the side of the road before heading home.